It all starts in the 9th level of Hell, where the strongest demons gather at the depths of the underworld. In this level, there's an unending battle to determine who is the strongest demon. Next, we see the great demon Gargas versus the great demon Balak have an epic battle. The great demon Balak ends up winning that encounter. Amid the never-ending struggle, it was assumed that there would be no eternal ruler until the Demon King appeared. Then we find ourselves in a castle, where the Demon King is the apex of all demons. Balak asks him why he wants to return to Earth when he already owns all of hell. And in his shock, he recalls the power of the Demon King's gluttony with which he absorbed the Archduke's body and abilities. He was able to defeat the 7 Archdukes of Hell, who were too powerful to kill each other. But with his power, the Demon King consumed the demons of Hell. The Demon King tells him that he doesn't have everything. He tells him that he has been in hell for more than 10,000 years, seeing slaughter every day. The angry Demon King asks if there is any way to have it all, takes off his mask and reveals his real name, which is Kang Wu. At that moment, Balak thinks that his king is starving, so he feeds him a big ugly octopus. But Kang Wu throws it in his face because it is not appetizing. He says he wants to eat a food called kimchi jjigae, which is like a kind of ramen. But the demons think that this dish exists in hell and want to cook it for their king. But Kang Wu is disappointed because the demons don't know how to prepare it. Balak tells him that he should be satisfied with killing the 7 Archdukes of Hell. But Kang Wu wanted to satisfy himself by reading novels and manga. Unable to serve his king, Balak asks him to kill him. But Kang Wu says he at least wants someone in hell who loves him. Then Lilith, the queen of the succubi, who was also the greatest beauty of hell, arrives. And with her ugly face, she asks him if she is not beautiful enough for him. But just by looking at his face, we can see that he doesn't want any romance with Lilith, because Lilith is a very disgusting creature. Anxious, Kang Wu tells the demons that he has a strong desire to return to Earth, and the demons are alerted upon hearing this. He lets them know that he has completed the necessary preparations to return to Earth. After all the accomplishments he has achieved in hell, Kang Wu is ready to receive his reward for spending 10,000 years there. He orders Balak to prepare the ceremony. Balak doesn't want to do it, but Kang Wu tells him not to make him repeat it twice. Scared, Balak orders the demons to call Ammon and prepare the body armor of the 7 demon archdukes. Ammon starts performing the ritual in front of them, and Balak tells Kang Wu that the preparations are complete. The two of them are very sad, don't want their king to leave. As Kang Wu is entering, Ammon warns him that if he puts too much power into the body armor of the 7 archdukes, the boundaries of time and dimension could be distorted, causing a crack in the dimension. Kang Wu tells him to go ahead, because this is how he will finally be able to return to Earth. With his powerful magic, Kang Wu manages to open the horde of demons and causes the body armor of the 7 archdukes to awaken, indicating that the gate will soon open. After finally opening the gate, Kang Wu enters, remembering that he has no family or friends on Earth. But if he stayed in hell, he would never accept Lilith as his girlfriend. She bursts into tears when she sees him leave. And Kang Wu tells her not to cry. He doesn't try to comfort her. He only said that because the girl's face looked disgusting when she cried and he was afraid. Kang Wu then sees that Lilith wants to go with him, so he runs to escape from hell faster. As he is descending, he arrives at a place where he wonders what is in front of him. But something starts saying that a portal gate in space had been detected. Then, it mentions that the dimensional defense mechanism, the Gaia system, was currently in operation. A window appears, displaying a warning indicating that the power of the nucleus was greater than its capacity. Kang Wu didn't know what was happening. And then another warning appears, alerting that the Gaia system was reaching overload. Then, something strikes Kang Wu's body. At that moment, another warning appears, saying that it is impossible to repair the crack in the core of the portal. So that warning decides to activate a patch that will cause the Demon King to be trapped. Extremely angry, Kang Wu wants to destroy this device, but ends up fainting from the pain. He wakes up in a forest, and he asks himself if he has finally arrived on Earth. But first, he assesses himself for injuries and ensures that he is okay. Then, an information window suddenly appears in front of him showing his rank. Here we can see that he is level 1, with the description reading that most of his powers were locked. He hears something behind him, and it turns out to be dwarfs. He begins to question whether he actually is on Earth, as there are no such creatures on the planet. He tries to get rid of them, but realizes that his powers are too weak. Having no other choice, he uses an ability that slices the dwarves in two. While he was eliminating the goblins, another information window appears and shows him that he is gaining experience by defeating dwarves. At that moment, he increases his skills until he reaches level 4. At the end of his battle with the goblins, he wonders what kind of creatures those things are and what those experience points are for. As he feels physically stronger afterwards, he decides to gather information about this place, using his powers absorbing it into himself. However, he is only able to gather information about the dwarves and not about this world. Then, another status window appears, announcing that he has been awarded 1 magic point. He is in shock, because magic should only exist in hell, and is starting to think that the probability that he is not on Earth is very high. His only reason for enduring and surviving hell was to return to Earth. He suddenly hears a faraway shout, and he runs to investigate, as it sounded human. At that moment, he quickly ran to see whose voice it was. In the next scene, he sees that it is a girl, and is happy to finally see another human being. So he decides to help the girl by defeating all the dwarves that were surrounding her. This girl introduces herself as Han Seol and thanks him for saving her. He becomes happy when she touches his extended hand and takes her by surprise when he asks her to marry him, then quickly apologizes for doing so because she was injured. Han Seol is unable to walk very well, so her smartphone falls out of her cape. Seeing this, Kang Woo convinces himself that he is, in fact, on Earth, and proceeds to give Han Seol first aid. He is also happy to be able to speak Korean with her still, as he remembers the language, because he had ordered the demons in hell to also speak Korean. After giving her first aid, he hands her phone back to her, feeling surprised when he notices that it says the year is 2023 on the screen. It had only been 5 years since he had landed in hell. As he knew nothing about this new era, he decided to ask the girl. He asks for more information and asks her why she had placed herself in such a dangerous situation. She tells him that she just awakened as a player. He was confused by the girl's words, so he asked her what her level was, and Han Seol replies she is at level 6. When she returns the question, Kang Woo avoids answering her question because he is embarrassed as his level is too low. She prepares to leave, but as her wound has not healed yet, she bumps into the boy. Kang Woo sees that the girl is injured and offers to walk with her and accompany her to her destination. He is very happy to act like a normal human being and realizes that Han Seol does not suspect anything, so he decides to adapt to the behavior of earthly society. Once at her destination, Kang Woo is puzzled to see another spatial portal gate in front of him. He again questions as if indeed on Earth, not seeing a weapon that could have caused this portal gate and wondering what can power such a large thing. He enters the portal gate. He is glad to see so many humans around and is also excited that he will never again have to see another tentacled demon. As gratitude, Han Seol invites Kang Woo to her home for a meal, and Kang Woo is excited. Suddenly, 2 officers approach them, asking to present their player cards. As he had no such card, Kang Woo uses his power of forget to successfully trick them into thinking he had one. In the next scene, we see them arrive at Han Seol's apartment. At that moment, as Kang Woo entered the apartment, he was thinking that from that moment on his future was going to be very happy. At that moment, we see that Han Seol's mother is in the apartment, which disappoints Kang Woo because he expected to be intimate with her. Han Seol's mother, upon learning that Kang Woo has saved her daughter, offers to prepare a special meal for her as a token of gratitude. At that moment, Kang Woo remembers that he still needs to gather information about this world, so he asks Han Seol to lend him her phone. As he was dragged to hell 5 years prior, he begins by searching for articles around the year 2018. He reads the information, and it says that February 22nd, 2018 was named the day of the cataclysm because monsters appeared through a portal that seemed to come out of nowhere. All weapons were useless. Under the leadership of the United States, a worldwide organization was formed for emergency operations, for which Korea was the 9th country to join. The first player appeared in America, but no one knew her identity. More players surfaced, which brought hope to the human race. He remembers that this was the date that he went to hell. He wonders if he got caught in one of these portals, so he continues to search for more information, because most of the articles he found on the internet were just guesses. At that time, Han Seol's mother puts food in front of him. This food dish was called kimchi jjigae, and both women are surprised to see Kang Woo crying while eating. He remembers how he had to live like a demon in hell in order to survive, and as such, could never satisfy his taste buds or appetite. As the demons down there tasted like trash, he had slowly been going insane, enduring the same thing daily. But he persevered as his only desire was to return to Earth. He thanks her for the food, but Han Seol tells him that it is she who should thank him for saving her. He asks the girl if he can give her more food, which makes Han Seol very happy. But at that moment someone breaks down the door and Taehyun, Han Seol's brother, appears and yells at her for entering the magic portal. She tells him that he can do whatever he wants, because now she is an expert player. At that moment she screams and tells her brother to go away. After hearing this, his brother gets angry and says that a person with a level as low as his cannot be called an expert player. He notices that he has scared his mother and begins to drag Han Seol by the hair, telling her that they are going to the Guild of Andress. Han Seol does not wish to go with him, so she bites Taehyun's hand. He strikes her and orders her to come with him to offer herself up, but the mother intervenes, asking to take her instead. He knocks his mother to the ground, telling Han Seol to not mess with him as he is a level 2 meta-human. He begins to insult her and grabs her by the throat. At that moment, he sees Kang Woo eating happily. Angered, Taehyun hits the table, spilling the food. Kang Woo starts to cry over the loss of his food, and Taehyun wants to hit him for being a crybaby. At which point Kang Woo tells him that he is going to murder him for throwing his precious food at him. And this causes Taehyun to be a little scared. Taehyun starts to use his power to attack him, but Han Seol intervenes, blocking the attack so that Kang Woo can escape. But Kang Woo with great speed manages to hit Taehyun. Taehyun, very angry, decides to use his strongest attack, but Kang Woo dodges him again and hits him several times until leaving him lying on the ground. Taehyun tells him that he shouldn't get angry over a simple plate of food, and Kang Woo upon hearing this bursts out in anger and makes him apologize while punching him several times. Afterwards, Kang Woo forces Taehyun to clean up the mess he has created and apologize to his mother and sister. Kang Woo tells him that he is lucky and advises him to live in a calm manner, but Taehyun is already plotting revenge. He plans to tell his guild what happened. Kang Woo tells him he doesn't deserve to live, as he can see that Taehyun will never change his ways for good. Although Kang Woo decided that he will not kill Taehyun, he invokes the demonic power of fear, instilling a huge fear inside Taehyun that will never fade. Kang Woo warns him to not speak of what happened at the apartment, and turns him into his slave. Han Seol thanks Kang Woo for saving her once again. Kang Woo realizes that he needs money, and sees that there are magical stones that you can sell from killing monsters. He asks Han Seol for her magic stones and she tells him that the darker the stone, the higher the rank. He felt something when he held the stone, thinking that it might contain energy inside, but this energy was not magic. He also wondered what the magic stones might contain inside them, because the energy he feels is not the magic he knows. But he decides to stop thinking about this for the moment and change his focus, since he needed to earn money first. To do so, he asks Han Seol for the location of a support center for gamblers, and she tells him that there is one near Seoul, and that she will accompany him to thank him for his help, and also because she is also going there. She admits that because she needed money, she had entered the portal gate prematurely, and knowing what she knows now, sees that it was the wrong decision. She wants to go to unlock her powers and get her second awakening. He tells her that she will achieve this but hasn't committed to helping her. Although hard to swallow, he knows he needs to focus on regaining his powers. Now that he's returned to Earth, he needs to become stronger to survive like he did in Hell, because Kang Woo does not have a player card. He stops by City Hall to get a player ID. He looks around him and realizes that no one had reported him missing in the 5 years he had been missing, and no one had been concerned about his absence, and this made him very sad. Hours later, they arrive at the Seoul Player Center. Han Seol gives him her old phone number so that they can keep in touch and make plans to meet later. He then takes a ticket to assess his ranking and directs him to a testing room. At that moment, Kang Woo arrived at the place and noticed that all the people were talking about the rank they had achieved. In that place, they were also talking about some people called Guild Masters. There were 5 masters who had obtained the S rank in their first attempt in the test room. Kang Woo also heard that the 5 Guild Masters were called Ki Yeonju of Red Rose Guild, Baek Kangyeon of Hanhol Guild, Young Hyunju of Sanali Guild, and Ki Minhook of Honorary Guild, and that each of these guilds was created by the top 5 ranks of Korea. He thought when he gets his strength, he might have to fight one of these masters. In an effort to speed up his efforts to regain his strength and powers, he decides to become a player. When it is finally his turn, he is asked to touch a ball upon which a color will display his rank. The brighter the color, the higher the power and rank. When the ball finishes glowing, the girl tells him that it is an F rank, and Kang Woo is surprised because he did not expect that answer. The girl tells him that he can only enter doors of his own rank. and if he wants to enter other doors of higher rank, he will have to have a guard accompany him. Kang Woo is bothered by this and asks what he can do to level up faster. She tells him that he can take a basic course that can take him to a rank or D rank. There is also an alternative method, which is to sell magic stones to level up quickly while he is waiting for his player's card. The girl tells him that she can help him by enrolling him in a basic course, but seeing his disappointed face, she tells him that maybe he should quit and not become a player. When Kang Woo left the room, she notices that the orb started to change color to black, and when she wanted to touch it, the ball broke. She didn't remember seeing this color of the ball before. Then she approached a door and saw how many players were recruiting people. She was surprised because they were rejecting the robbers. Once he crosses the portal again, Kang Woo calms down as he thought he was going back to hell. At that moment, a person approaches him and asks him if he is an F rank. Kang Woo says yes, and this person tells him that his name is T and invites Kang Woo to join his group, as it will be much better to hunt together than separately. Kang Woo doesn't want to, but T doesn't hear him and welcomes him to the group. Kang Woo thanks him for the invitation, but says he has other plans. Now that T understands, he wishes him well on his journey now, but tells him to be careful because they are in a dwarven area, and warns him to stay away from the hobgoblin because he is a very powerful boss. Kang Woo thanks him for the advice, and through his speedy trek easily locates the dwarves, which he can swiftly kill with an ability blade. He becomes tired as he kills many dwarves. A status window appears, stating that defeating the dwarves increased his level 4 times, as well as his demonic energy. This surprises him because he did not expect it. Now that he confirmed that the stones in fact do not possess demonic energy, he begins to absorb the dwarves with his gluttony ability. At that moment, he realizes that the dwarves have demonic energy, and that if he obtains demonic energy from the recently slain dwarves, he will be able to gain strength more quickly. As he collects the stones, he thinks he will sell them so that he can invite Han Sol to eat. He hears a noise, which turns out to be the hobgoblin who begins to attack him. Kang Woo is surprised to see that the hobgoblin uses magic, but relaxes when he sees that his demonic power is stronger than the hobgoblin's. At that moment, he realizes that the hobgoblin has the advantage in the battle because of his body size. Kang Woo is angry and manages to hit him, but the hobgoblin protects himself with his armor. Kang Woo observes that his stats are decreasing, so he must retreat to block his attacks. Kang Woo is surprised by the hobgoblin because he was much stronger than the dwarves, but he didn't care because he was stronger. Kang Woo throws a dwarf's head at him, and this causes the hobgoblin to get angry. At that moment, Kang Woo gathers all his demonic strength to summon an ability called Fury and manages to hit the hobgoblin with a big blow. Afterwards, the hobgoblin keeps attacking, destroying everything around him. But when he realizes that he is destroying his own home, he goes mad and releases a lot of energy. Kang Woo says that this is an advantage, because as the hobgoblin goes crazier, this will cause his attacks to be more predictable, and he will be able to find the creature's weak point to kill it. After a few more attacks, Kang Woo is able to defeat the hobgoblin. Kang Woo is wanton because he feels that if he had been at full strength, he would have defeated him much quicker. Suddenly, an information window appears telling him that he has single-handedly defeated a nest of monsters, and for that he has earned several rewards. These rewards gave him a lot of experience points, and this causes him to unlock several skills, and he goes up to level 11. One of these abilities was the insatiable hunger that allowed him to absorb demonic energy from the objects or enemies he defeated. Reading this, he is happy and wants to test his new ability on the defeated hobgoblin. He is surprised to see the demonic energy absorbed was 3 times more than he expected. He was confused, so he uses one of his powers to access a place called the Demon Nucellus. This place is a kind of seal that separates the demon world from the earth. At that point, he realizes that every time he levels up and unlocks abilities, it causes the seal to weaken. But he is glad because every time the seal weakens, his Demon King powers recover. He picks up the magic stone and sets his next goal, which is to get his 3 special skills when he reaches level 20. When he returns, he invites Han Sol for lunch. While they were talking in the restaurant, she asks him if he has any family or friends, and Kang Woo replies that he has no one in his life and that he has no home to stay in. As a token of gratitude, Han Sol invites him to stay with her. He thanks her, but since he doesn't want to live rent-free, he gives her an envelope containing 3 million coins. She didn't want to accept the money, but Kang Woo tells her to accept it because he knows she is going through financial problems. After thinking about it, she happily accepts and promises to prepare his favorite meal for him every day. This causes Kang Woo to burst with joy. Then Kang Woo asks her if she knows where there is a D-rank door. She says there is one nearby, but it's full of lizard men. He plans to go the next day to unlock another skill and defeat stronger monsters to get more money. After a few hours, they go to Han Seol's home, where she shows him the room he can use as his own. He fell asleep happy to be on such a comfortable bed, as he had forgotten that luxury while in hell. And while he slept, he said that he was happy to be back on Earth. A few days later, he goes to the D-rank gate. Remembering what Han Seol had told him, he uses his power of silence, as the lizard men would be sensitive to any sound he might make upon approach. The lizard men's weakness was fire, so Kang Woo uses the power of hellfire to defeat them. Hellfire does not stop burning on its own, and needs either demonic energy or magic to extinguish it. Moreover, this fire does not burn the corporeal form, but only the life force, leaving the body undamaged for him to use his gluttony ability and absorb all the demonic energy. At that moment, he remembers that Taehyun is in a guild called Andras. He wonders where they got that strange name. He goes ahead and comes to the conclusion that if his plan doesn't work, he can simply destroy everything. He smiles upon seeing more lizardmen approach, and uses more hellfire to defeat them along with the power of gluttony to devour their energy. The next information window shows you that you have only moved up one level, which disappoints you, as you feel you are not making adequate progress. Just as he's thinking that hunting in a group might be best, he comes across a group. Thinking him a novice, they invite him to join them, introducing themselves as part of the Andras Guild. Kang Woo refuses and leaves the place, but they get angry at being rejected and decide to look for him later to beat him up and kill him. After a few hours, Kang Woo had consumed all the lizard men he had encountered in his path. At that moment, the Andras Guild group arrives, and they tell Kang Woo that they are following him to check if he is hunting correctly. He tells them not to worry because he is an excellent hunter. They tell him he is a liar because they can't find any bodies around him. Kang Woo mentions that he was just resting, and this causes the Andras Guild group to become angry. They say that a beginner should not disrespect them as they are superior. A member of this group wanted to attack him, but his leader told him to stop. Seeing Kang Woo's smug face, the leader gets angry and pulls out a sword from his inventory and starts hitting him with his own armor, and tells Kang Woo that lizard men are sensitive to sound. Kang Woo tells him that he already knew that and that he is not afraid of them. At that moment, the members of the Andras Guild, seeing that the lizard men were approaching, prepare a magical barrier to protect themselves. The group leader asks Kang Woo how he intends to save himself from the lizard men. At that moment, Kang Woo laughs loudly and uses an ability called ultrasound to make more noise. The guild leader calls him crazy and tells him to stop, but Kang Woo kept making a lot of noise. The guild leader yells at him, saying that he shouldn't have made too much noise since they had never faced so many monsters together. But Kang Woo calls him a coward. The lizard men begin to attack the guild, and Kang Woo tells them only they will die, activating the power of silence. The lizard men don't attack Kang Woo as they don't sense him. Seeing his barrier starting to crumble, the leader orders the guild to activate another barrier, but most of them are already dead. Realizing this fact, he asks Kang Woo for help and apologizes. Kang Woo laughs at him and tells him to fight back. In the end, the lizard men finish him off, and Kang Woo destroys them all with his hellfire ability, and then absorbs them. At that moment, the Gaia system tells him that he cannot absorb the members of any guild, as they are protected. Kang Woo saw this and remembered what happened to him when he returned to Earth, and observed that the players are protected by the Gaia system, and this makes him unable to consume them to improve their special abilities. But he does not care about this because he had already consumed a lot of demonic energy from the defeated lizard men. Because of this, he can increase his demonic energy significantly in quantity, but also in quality. As he leaves, he is excited because he is getting closer and closer to achieving his third special ability. 3 days later at Han Seol's apartment, she tells him not to overexert himself as she's been seeing him pass through the portal gate daily without rest. Kang Woo tells her not to worry and also asks her when her classes will be over. Han Seol tells her that school will be over soon and that they will go goblin hunting, hoping that she will unlock her second special ability. He asks her if she has heard about the rumors about cow players who hide their rank to attack weaker players, and she asks him to be careful at the portals. Kang Woo at that moment thinks that she is referring to the Andras Guild group members. Then he thinks that it can't be them as they were too weak and that they are probably talking about him, so he thinks of leveling up quickly as he must prepare for the unknown. When you reach level 20, an information window shows you that you have unlocked the third awakening skill, which significantly increases your magic and proves your most powerful magic using hellfire. Each time he levels up, the demonic gate seal weakens, causing more demonic energy to leak out, which unlocks his third special awakening ability. This ability is called demonic magic. And with this ability, he is now able to absorb energy from inside the magic stones, turning it into demonic energy. When he tries this ability, he is surprised because the magic stones give him the same energy that he obtained by killing monsters. With this ability, he can level up quickly. But the bad thing is that he will have to give up selling the stones because after absorbing the energy, they are useless. He accepts because he already has a lot of money for having worked every day without resting. Since he will have a lot of free time because he will not be selling the magic stones, he decides to continue searching for monsters to absorb them and improve his skills. Kang Woo uses his new ability called Sky Power to fly, and from the top of the trees he tries to find the boss of the lizard men, to eliminate him and get a more powerful magic stone to absorb it. At that moment he hears the voice of Tisu, who is being attacked by two men. Kang Woo approaches the scene and sees a thief-like person lying on the ground. Tisu claims these two people for attacking a member of his own group, and upset, the two men plan to attract more lizard men. Kang Woo realizes that Tisu has been betrayed by his own team and that these two people are the thieving players his friend warned him about. The redhead attacks Tisu, knocking him back, but Tisu is surprised to see that Tisu manages to resist the attack. Tisu angrily tells them that he will not give up so easily. The bandits congratulate him because Tisu had used a powerful skill, but as this skill was not of 3 rank, it will be useless against them. The duo strangely says they can't kill him. Kang Woo hasn't decided to help, but that changes once he observes them using demonic energy. Kang Woo asks them what their names are, but they don't answer him, and make fun of him as he is a beginner. They plan to kill Kang Woo because they had already captured many people that day. The red-haired man quickly attacks Kang Woo, but Kang Woo dodges the attack and gives a slap to the enemy. The red-haired boy was lying on the ground and his partner was surprised. At that moment, Kang Woo quickly appeared in front of the red-haired boy and began to beat him brutally. The white-haired boy went to help his partner, but Kang Woo hit him with his ability called the Art of Destruction and sent him flying. Kang Woo asks the red-haired man where he got the demonic energy from, but he doesn't want to answer, so Kang Woo slams him to the ground. The red-haired man still doesn't want to answer, so Kang Woo uses his ability of the power of fear to make him confess. The red-haired man, very scared, answers that it was the leader of the guild who gave them that power. At that moment, his partner appears and tells him to shut up, but Kang Woo hits him to make him move away. After an interrogation, Kang Woo asks him which guild he belongs to, and he answers that he belongs to the Andras Guild, and also tells him that his master had given him the demonic energy using a ritual. Kang Woo had to use the power of fear once more to find out which ritual this was. When he went to answer, his body began convulsing and died. At that moment, Kang Woo thinks that maybe someone placed some device inside the red-haired man's body so that he could not confess anything about the ritual. Tisu approaches and asks if he is Kang Woo. He thanks Kang Woo for saving him and assures him that he will return the favor in the future. He goes on to say that Andra's reputation was not good, but that he did not expect them to have evil players, and that he would report this incident to the H-Warring Squad, which is a unit of players under the control of the government. Kang Woo tells him not to report anything as he promises to eliminate the Andras Guild by himself. He tells him that he won't report anything because he respects him now, and then kneels down and asks him to let him accompany him on his journey as he has fallen in love with his respect for justice. Kang Woo smiles at the sight of him because he reminds him of his former demon Balak. The other boy also bows to him, thanking him for saving him. The two of them propose to Kang Woo to form a group among the 3 of them, because they say that it is the destiny that they will meet. At that moment, Kang Woo asks them what level they are, and Tisu tells him that he is level 12 and that he just activated his second awakening ability. He also tells him that he is of rank C. This surprises Kang Woo because he thinks that the boy has a lot of potential, so he asks him why he hasn't joined a guild. Tisu replies that he was thinking of joining a guild, but now that he has met Kang Woo, he wants to follow him everywhere. Kang Woo decides to take him with him as his skills and rank can serve him well. At that moment, he remembers that his friend Han Seol is also very close to getting her second ability, so he exchanges numbers with Tisu. Kang Woo asks him to level up with his friend Han Seol since she was a healer class, and he accepts. At the end of the conversation, Tisu asks him if he is going to the Andras Guild to take revenge. Switching scenes, we see that Kang Woo is interrogating one of the robbers and asks him why he wanted to capture his new friend Tisu. But the thief tells him that he doesn't remember doing that. Kang Woo is kicked in the face hard, and the thief tells him that they wanted to capture them to offer them as a sacrifice so that they won't keep hitting him. At that moment, Kang Woo gets an idea and asks the thief for a favor. After a few hours, we see the thief with a suitcase walking through a very strange place. A person with very long hair appears and asks him where his partner is. The thief is very scared and tells him that his partner was murdered. He hands him the suitcase and tells him that inside the suitcase is the sacrifice. The person with long hair tells him that it is very strange that they could have murdered his friend since they only entered a zone with very weak D-rank players. The thief tells him that there was a high-ranking player in that place, but with effort he was able to defeat him. The long-haired man opens the briefcase and sees that the sacrifice is in perfect condition, thanks him for his excellent work, and that with the help of this sacrifice they will be able to have more power. In the next scene we see that the strange character takes the sacrifice to his guild leader, who tells him to hurry as they did not have much time. As he approached with the sacrifice, everyone around him began to praise Andras, and the guild leader was happy to see this because he had many followers who did everything to have more power. The leader removes his mask to begin the ritual, and mentions that the greater the desire of his followers to obtain power, the faster their bodies will obtain demonic energy. The leader calls one of his most loyal minions to baptize him, but another minion tells him that he is not at the ceremony. So the guild leader decides that he will not baptize anyone. He tells his followers that if they want to be baptized, they have to bring their own sacrifices, and as the sacrifice that had been brought to him had no owner, he was going to keep it. At that moment he starts the ritual, and we can see that he plans to do many more rituals since he possessed many magic stones, and so he will be able to get a lot of demonic energy through the crack in front of them. The leader, as he was absorbing the energy, had to be very patient because if he did the ritual wrong, he could die. He decides to send all the demonic energy to the sacrifice and then drink its blood. The leader is surprised that the sacrifice is carrying a lot of demonic energy in its body. This makes him happy because he will be able to drain more blood from the body of the sacrifice and get more demonic energy. He starts to worry because the sacrifice did not stop absorbing demonic energy, and he starts screaming and begging for it to stop. At that moment we see that the person they were sacrificing was Kang Woo. He wakes up with a big smile and tells the guild leader that he liked the ritual. The guild leader gets angry and starts attacking him with his skills, but Kang Woo, thanks to his great speed, manages to evade all attacks. Then the guild leader managed to hit him with an attack, but it did not cause any damage to Kang Woo, because he was protected by one of his abilities called Iron Wall. All the guild followers start attacking Kang Woo, but he quickly responds by eliminating all his opponents. The guild leader tells him that he is going to attack him with his strongest ability, which is Hellfire. But Kang Woo shows him that he has the same ability, but much more powerful. The guild leader, seeing that Kang Woo was very powerful, knelt down before him and told him that he was the reincarnation of Andras. All the subjects, seeing their leader kneeling, decided to do the same. Kang Woo, seeing this, is surprised and begins to deceive them by telling them that he is the reincarnation of Andras. He orders the guild leader to dismiss all his followers because he wants to talk to him alone. When everyone left, Kang Woo asked the guild leader how he learned to create cracks with the magic stones, and the guild leader told him that he learned it from a strange person. He tells him that a long time ago a person wearing a demon mask told him that he could get eternal life if he joined the demonic religion. Kang Woo angrily asks him why he accepted. The guild leader told him that he had been forced and that since that day he has not seen him again since he receives his orders by mail. Kang Woo is very interested in this, so he orders him to show him the letters sent by the masked man. When he read the letter, he saw that the masked man ordered him to obtain followers so that the leader of the guild could become a demon. Kang Woo was very angry because those demons want to turn the earth into a hell, so he ordered the guild leader to investigate that demonic religion. He also orders her not to perform any more rituals and not to tell anyone what happened that day. Kang Woo himself wonders how the government is not aware of the existence of this demonic religion, and also says he plans to investigate the situation. Some time later we see that he arrives home, and his friend Han Seol tells him that she was very worried because he was not answering her phone calls. Kang Woo tells her that he was busy and she calmly goes to cook dinner. At that moment she tells him that she has already obtained her second awakening ability, and it has given her a B-rank power called the Blessing of Light. Kang Woo gets very happy and thinks that if she teams up with Tisu they will be far superior to other groups. And she tells him that other guilds are calling her to join them, but she wants to be exclusive to Kang Woo. But Kang Woo tells her that it is not a good idea, and this makes her very sad. He tells her that if she joins his group he will not be able to face more powerful groups. So he tells her to form a group with a friend he is going to introduce her to so that the two of them will become very strong. And in the future the three of them will be able to go to higher ranking doors. This makes her happy because Kang Woo tells her that he is going to sponsor her team. She prepares her favorite food for him out of gratitude. Kang Woo, while eating, swears to save the earth from the demonic religion. The next day, he goes to the player support center to pick up his C player card, but is told he has to come back another day as they have to upgrade his card. After leaving this place, Kang Woo decides to take a break because without the player card he cannot enter any door or portal. He was thinking about watching movies or series, but then he decides he wants to change his lifestyle. He finds a cyber cafe and starts playing League of Legends while he orders some food. Kang Woo is eating and doesn't notice that his friend from the game is insulting him for not playing the game. At that moment, a girl who was behind him starts to scream for losing the game. And when she sees Kang Woo's screen, she realizes that he is the person who made her lose the game of League of Legends. The angry girl approaches to attack him, but Kang Woo dodges all her attacks and asks why she was attacking him. She quickly stops and asks him what guild he belongs to, but Kang Woo replies to her that he does not belong to any guild. She doesn't believe him and tells him that someone as fast as he is must belong to a powerful guild. At that moment, she reveals to him that she is a member of the Red Rose Guild, but then regrets it because it should be a secret. Kang Woo ignores her and was ready to leave, but she still doesn't believe him that he doesn't belong to any guild. But he shows her his player card, which says he is a D rank, and this makes the girl surprised. The girl still doesn't believe him because he dodged all her attacks. At that moment, Kang Woo says goodbye when he sees her distracted. Kang Woo leaves the place and wonders who she could be, as this girl turned out to be very strong. In the next scene, we see that the girl is making a call and she tells us that her name was Yeonjuna, and she asks to contact Human Resources. After a while, we can see that Hyunwoo, who is the leader of Human Resources of the Red Rose Guild, answers. And this guy asks her what she wants and she tells him to investigate something. Hyunwoo asks her if it is about the demonic religion and she is not sure and says maybe, because the person she met in the cyber cafe was hiding his identity. The person she was referring to was Kang Woo. She tells him that she doesn't believe that Kang Woo is a D-ranked player, and Hyunwoo tells her that maybe Kang Woo is one of the people who kill players of the same level. The girl tells him that Kang Woo managed to dodge all her attacks, and this surprises Hyunwoo because there was no one from the demonic religion who could face Yeonjumi. She remembers the fight and sees that Kang Woo had good reflexes, so she thinks that Kang Woo is the leader of the demonic religion. She decides that she will start investigating Kang Woo, and this makes her worry because the demonic religion was getting out of control, and she was sure that Kang Woo was stronger than her. She wonders if she will ever be able to beat him in battle, because as long as he exists, she will not be the strongest player in all of Korea. When she returns to the cyber cafe, she is very angry to see that she has been demoted in the League of Legends, and she vows to kill Kang Woo for making her lose. The next day, Kang Woo goes to a rank C dungeon, but the security people won't let him in because it was forbidden. This is done as a security measure when a final boss appears. Players must be accompanied by a team or guild. Kang Woo was happy to be able to face a final boss, and he looked around as all the players formed teams, but he wanted to go in alone. He also noticed that the security guards were very strict, and at that moment he heard several hunters talking and saying that they were afraid. He took advantage of this weakness and came up with an evil plan to get inside. When he approached a hunter, he used his rage ability, and this hunter started to scream, cursing the monsters. The other hunters went crazy because they remembered their relatives who died in past battles, so they want to enter the portals to take revenge. Kang Woo, taking advantage of the situation, enters the dungeon alone and encounters a huge sand lizard. He does not know where to start looking, but when he sees the information window, he observes that he has a demonic power left. Then he uses the ability of the demon Astaroth, which is a power of observation that allows him to invoke enormous eyes that allow him to visualize the whole desert. In the next scene, we can see that he manages to find the boss of the monsters, but it was surrounded by some soldiers. So he decides to use several hunters that were in that area to kill the soldiers and thus be able to face the final boss. Upon meeting the final boss, Kang Woo uses a very powerful ability to eliminate him and manages to raise his skills to level 4, but is disappointed because the monster could not withstand any blow. And when he checked the system, he realized that the monster was one of the strongest that existed. He is disappointed because he believed that the enemies he would face would be stronger. At that moment, trolls appear and start attacking him, but Kang Woo defeats them with a single blow. His blows have a lot of energy and cause the enemies to explode. By eliminating many enemies, he obtains a rank ability. This ability allows him to shoot from his finger a drop of energy that when falling to the ground expands and eliminates all his enemies. Kang Woo begins to use the power of gluttony to absorb his enemies, and gets to level 2 of his demonic energy statistics. This seems strange to him, but remember that the more powerful he is, the more difficult it will be to level up. On the other hand, The hunters could not find any trolls, so they decided to leave the dungeon. Kang Wu quietly joins the hunters to leave the dungeon, and all the hunters complain to the authorities for not finding any final bosses. At that moment, the H-Warring Special Forces arrive led by Commander Hyunwoo, who in the end turned out to be a woman. She tells the hunters that Chaos players have been appearing in the dungeon, so they go to inspect everyone. Kang Wu worries that he might be discovered, but the commander was only looking for people who were on her investigation list. Kang Wu, so that no one would suspect him, wanted to help in the investigation. She thanks him for his good intentions, but rejects him because it was not his job, and she tells him some tips to become a better hunter. Kang Wu realizes that the government was investigating the demonic religion, so he decides to leave. After a week, Han Seol and Tisu meet because Kang Wu introduced them to each other. Kang Wu wanted his two friends to create a group to become stronger, and at that moment they start explaining how their abilities work. The girl explains that her ability was to heal and protect her companions at the same time, and Tisu is very surprised. And he tells her that with those abilities she can join any guild. But she tells him that she is not interested in that at the moment. Tisu comments that he has found two very strong people who could join his new group. These two people had just unlocked their awakening ability at level 2, but they were very talented, and he plans to introduce them to Kang Wu. Then Kang Wu and the girl start flirting, but Tisu interrupts them and tells them that they must go to a distant dungeon where there are more lizard men and trolls. They come to the conclusion that they will go tomorrow, but Kang Wu didn't wait that long because he was too close to raising his skills to the next level. So he decides to go alone, and with his demonic eye ability he manages to find enemies and exterminate them. At that moment he smells the scent of human blood, so he decides to investigate because the smell is very intense. And he thinks that since the final boss has not yet appeared, those hunters should have been eliminated by cow players. When he arrived at the site, he noticed that the blood of the victims was still fresh, so the culprit should be nearby. At that moment a hellhound appears and attacks Kang Wu. He manages to dodge it and wonders what a hellhound is doing on Earth. The hellhound keeps attacking him hard, but thanks to his speed he manages to dodge all his attacks. But as the dog had a very tough skin, he could not hurt him. He decides to use the power of the dark spear, and with that weapon he manages to wound the dog seriously. But the dog keeps attacking him and manages to corner Kang Wu. But he uses an ability called the power of the earth, and this causes the dog to fall. And taking advantage of this, he attacks its head with the spear. But this attack did not work, and the furious dog uses a fire ability and attacks Kang Wu. But he invokes the power of demons, and with a single blow manages to do a lot of damage to the dog. Even with all this damage, the dog gets up to continue fighting. But Kang Wu says that in hell he hunted many of these dogs, so he is sure he can win the battle. However, the dog could not continue fighting and dies, causing Kang Wu's level to rise to 5. As he reached level 30, he obtains his 4th awakening and gets a new ability that allows him to better control his demonic energy and hide his powers so that enemies do not detect him. He still has doubts how a demon could come to Earth, but at that moment he uses his ability of gluttony to absorb the dog to become stronger than before. As he leaves the dungeon, he thinks about going home, but he meets the girl who plays League of Legends and greets him, but Kang Wu does not remember seeing her before. She introduces herself as the leader of the Red Rose Guild, and Kang Wu manages to remember her and says that she was very strong. Yeonju tells him that she knows all about him because she investigated him and knows that he disappeared for 5 years. She tells him that he had talent as a hunter for quickly rising to C rank, and she proposes to sponsor him. But he is surprised as he thought she would invite him to her guild, and Yeonju replies that she can't invite him to her guild because he is still suspicious and hides his true powers. Kang Wu doesn't understand why she wants to sponsor him, and she explains to him that as his energy grows, he will become very powerful, and she tells him about the benefits of being sponsored by the Red Rose Guild, such as receiving a special pass that allows him to enter any dungeon and many powerful items. She also tells him that the guild needs him to carry out important missions of high rank. He tells her to give him details of this mission, but she replies that she cannot tell him anything because it is secret. So he accepts the proposal with an evil smile. He asks her why he couldn't tell her about the mission if he is strong enough, and she explains that it is not because of strength, but because they don't have enough evidence to start the mission yet. So he decides not to bother her anymore, and as a first benefit he asks her to have a team, so they head to the guild. And since this place was far away, they were going to go in the girl's car. But Kang Wu was surprised because it was a very expensive car. After a few hours they arrive at the guild, and Kang Wu is glad to have accepted the offer as the benefits will help him a lot. Upon entering, he meets Human Resources leader Hyunwoo and Commander Moon Young-ho, who seems to be a very strict person. They tell him that they will take him to the equipment room, and Commander Moon Young-ho decides to accompany them as he wants to see what kind of warrior Kang Woo is. When he arrived, he looked at very high rank equipment, but could only choose equipment no higher than epic rank, and if he wanted legendary rank equipment he would have to pay millions of coins and money. The commander gets angry because Kang Woo doesn't show respect when talking to the girl, so he orders him to be more respectful. But Kang Woo didn't want to do it, and then the commander gets very angry and wants to attack him. The girl stops the attack and orders the commander to leave. Kang Woo laughs at the situation and asks the girl if she can wear a special rank equipment. And when she says this, the commander gets angrier, so he launches another attack. But the girl again stops the attack, and she tells him that if he bothers him again she will punish him, and after the commander apologizes, Kang Woo asks the girl for a flexible armor, and she starts to look for it. But at that moment the commander asks her for a duel, and if she defeats him he will give her his armor, which was of special rank. She angrily tells the commander that she was going to hit him, but Kang Woo stops her and tells her that he does want to accept the fight. She worries that even though Kang Woo has proven to be a strong opponent, he was still not at the commander's level. The commander was level 67 and had his 7th awakening skill unlocked. But Kang Woo, seeing this, only gets excited. The commander, very upset, says that he will teach him to respect the guild master, because for him she was his savior. When the monsters appeared, the girl had saved him, and since that day he had sworn loyalty to her. They arrive at the training room, and the girl begs Kang Woo not to fight. But Kang Woo had already made his decision. The commander, being confident, gives her 3 seconds of advantage. But Kang Woo wanted his opponent to draw his sword. The commander did not want to do it because he said it was useless to use his sword with a lower ranked hunter. The battle begins and Kang Woo uses his speed ability, and with one kick sends the commander flying, and besides, he had done a lot of damage to the armor. The commander thinks that Kang Woo cheated, so he starts to insult him. But Kang Woo starts to laugh and mock him because now that he is defeating him he starts to slander him. The commander did not want to look ridiculous in front of the girl, so he starts to use a sword skill. But Kang Woo again laughs because the commander is shouting the name of his skill. The annoyed commander prepares to attack, but Kang Woo uses the power of shadows and dodges the attack, and stands behind him using the shadow move. And with the power of the cutting pulse he defeats him in a humiliating way, showing that he is much stronger than before. When Kang Woo was leaving he was happy with his armor, and the girl asked him for forgiveness for all the problems that happened, and she was going to expel the commander of the guild and report him to the guild so that this insidious person does not return to the guild. Then he notices that the armor was too big for him, so he leaves it at the guild to be fixed. And the girl is surprised because Kang Woo exceeded her expectations, and she affirms that he will become a world classifier. The world classifiers are the 8 best hunters on the planet, and in Korea there was not yet one. However, there were rumors that the number 1 hunter was going to become one, but even he failed the test. Then the human resources guy arrives and was worried about the commander's expulsion, but she explains to him that the commander deserved to be expelled. The boy informs the girl that the government successfully infiltrated a spy in the demonic religion, but the girl orders him to continue researching more about this religion since he has to exterminate them. On the other hand, Kang Woo was checking his stats and noticed that he had improved a lot in obtaining demonic energies. But he was not going to stop improving the other stats because he did not want to depend only on his demonic power. He realizes that when he reached level 30 his demonic energy stopped increasing. But he is not worried since he surpassed the range he wanted to reach, and now he only thinks about reaching his 5th awakening. The next day, all his friends are in the dungeon, and Tisu introduces Kang Woo to the 2 new hunters of the team. One was a hunter named Choi Yoonbai, and the 2 girls, seeing that they are very pretty, start taking pictures of themselves to show them off. The next hunter is a level 12 boy named Shihoon, and he has a rank of ability, while the girl Choi Yoonbai was a mage with a special ability of rank B and a very cheerful personality. Kang Woo saw that the boy was very strong and polite and thought that he could be the main character of a novel, and thought that these people are trustworthy because they don't look like evil people like other hunters. The group, by having very strong hunters with different skills, makes it a very strong group. Kang Woo says he will accompany them and help them, but only if they are in danger because he does not want to hinder their growth. When they reach the dungeon, several enemies begin to appear, and Tisu, being the squire, stops the troll's attack, and the girl, using powerful magic, lures the trolls into an entanglement so that everyone can defeat them while Kang Woo protects them. The pink-haired girl improves Tisu's abilities by using one of her powers while attacking with her bow. Shihoon also smashes some trolls with his sword without any problems, as he is an expert in the art of fighting. After a while, the whole team manages to defeat the trolls, and they ask Kang Woo how they did. Kang Woo tells them that they failed in several things, so he starts advising them. Tisu should control his enormous strength, because he was wasting it on the weaker trolls, and if he kept doing that he would run out of energy and they could eliminate him. On the other hand, he congratulates the pink-haired girl for helping Tisu, but then he will attack her with his bow, because it will attract the attention of the enemies, and this will make Tisu have to defend more. The mage girl is also rejected for using too much of her power and running out of energy. Kang Wu just congratulates Shihun and tells him that he did a good job, and also tells him that he is a genius, and if he keeps fighting like this he will become very powerful. After this talk, they enter the deepest part of the forest to continue using their skills, and another fight begins again. Kang Wu congratulates them all for having improved. But at that moment a demon appears and surprises Kang Wu. The demonic wolf attacks Tisu, so Kang Wu goes to help him. But Shihun goes ahead and attacks the wolf, but the wolf attacks him back and is about to kill him. However, Kang Wu arrives and defeats the wolf with one blow, and a window appears telling him that he has defeated a rift fragment. Kang Wu rushes to Shihun's aid, and he is surprised that Shihun is actually powerful enough to withstand an attack from a demonic monster. So intrigued, he decides to investigate him and uses his omniscient power to see his statistics. Kang Wu was surprised since he had the powers and abilities of the god of martial arts, and was a triple rank S+. He was the hero who would become the protector of the world, and as his existence is threatening to him, he decides to become his friend and support him as the red-haired girl does with him. But he had to be careful because Shihun can betray him even though he doesn't look like that kind of person. However, to prevent that from happening, he comes up with an idea. At that moment, everyone starts talking about how well they had hunted, and Tisu advises Shihun to join a powerful guild. But the ashamed man tells him that he would never join that guild. Tisu, seeing that he had problems with that guild, asks for forgiveness, but he tells him not to worry. So after the hunt they decide to rest for a while, and the next day they continue hunting. But Kang Wu tells them that this time he will not accompany them. When leaving the dungeon, the girl wanted to go to the house with Kang Wu, but he saw that he was busy and told her to go ahead, and she sadly withdrew. At that moment, Kang Wu started his plan to get in touch with Shihun. They meet at a bus stop, and as what he wanted to tell him was private, he takes him to a dark alley and throws a fist in his belly. Shihun asks him why he is doing this, and Kang Wu throws himself on him and tells him that he will become very powerful, so he wants to become his best friend. And the scared boy asks him why he is attacking him, but Kang Wu, without answering, goes through his body and grabs his heart and starts to use his power of Surevenation. And this makes his heart become enveloped with demonic energy, and Kang Wu starts to tell him what he will do from now on. He also tells her that she didn't have to worry, because from now on they will be best friends. Shihun, when he wakes up, does not remember what happened, and gets depressed because he thinks that because he is weak he fainted. He wants to become very strong because he wants to take revenge and kill the near guild leader. On the other hand, Kang Wu receives a message saying that Shihun has become his subordinate, and now Kang Wu is just waiting for his growth. But he still has no intention to become Shihun's owner, since he only made him his subordinate as a precaution. After Shihun gets stronger, he will become as strong as Balak, and his existence was crucial for him as the demon palace is still closed, and he will need his help to eliminate them. Kang Wu will help him a lot from now on because he plans to use it later on. At that moment, he receives a call from an extra who tells him that he has found a trace of demonic energy, but it did not seem to have been created by a human being, and he thinks that this trail was probably left by a demon. Kang Wu wanted to go and hunt it, so he asked for directions, and was told that the demon was in a rank B dungeon. At that moment, he remembers that when killing the demons, the system called them fragment of cracks of different ranks, and this means that the power or rank of the demons depends on the rank of the dungeon, and this means that the demon he will face now will be very strong. Kang Wu is excited because killing this enemy will level him up a lot. The next day, he arrives in the city where the dungeon was located, and hears that security is not letting anyone in because a monster with an unknown mutation has appeared, and the dungeon has been temporarily closed. The hunters complained about not letting them pass, but at that moment they heard that 10 hunters had already died. Most people started to worry because the death toll was too high for a B-ranked dungeon. Kang Wu already knew that the monster was a demon and wondered what kind of demon it looked like. As the reporters were wondering the same thing, they started interviewing the security people. They tell him that they only know that it looks like a lion, and Kang Wu is surprised and says that the demon was the Buer. The Buer is one of the strongest predators in hell and looks like a lion with 5 legs. It had a special ability called a full stomach, and this only allowed it to eat 5 prey a day. And when the Buer had a full stomach, it stopped hunting, and since there were already 10 victims, it should have appeared 2 days ago, so Kang Wu plans to hunt it down.